All right, divisional round recap from Saturday. My Bills lose in Denver to the Broncos. Broncos advance, and later on, the Niners got smacked by the Seahawks at home. Just a gut wrenching day. Devastated. I'm directionless. I don't know where to go. One of the worst losses I've watched. Not because I'm not proud of our guys, not because I don't think we put a good product of football on the field. I mean, we put up 30 damn points, took them to overtime. They were the number one seed. Just, man, another year, another year, another year, same story, right? I'm sure any Bills fan watching understands if I simply just said another year, exactly where I'm coming from, right? So I wasn't sure if I was going to record this evening, but I had some time to settle down. I'm not mad, really. I'm not angry. I'm not going to yell. I'm just a little, disappointed. And I feel terrible for the guys. I really do. So we're going to go over Bills Broncos, wrap things up with Seahawks 49ers. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's JV Show, divisional round recap for Saturday's games. Kicking it off with Broncos 33, Bills 30. I'm just gutted. Like, I have so much to say, yet so little to say. This is a team that really had me concerned around midseason with a few of their losses. We lost to the Dolphins in the middle of the season, and I was just disgusted by that performance. And I knew at that point that there were weaknesses on this roster. But as per usual, Buffalo reeled me back in, as they always do. Great wild card performance against the Jags. We get the win on the road. We go into Denver today, and to start the game, we are just so hot. But ultimately, we shot ourselves in the foot. Ultimately, when we wrapped up those 60 minutes of play, and we went back in the locker room, and we looked ourselves in the mirror, we were looking at the reason we lost, right? The 5, 6, how many turnovers did we have today? And we still put up 30 points, right? And we still took the number one seed to overtime. And full credit to Denver. They deserved this win. The final score reflects that. They deserve to move on. And I feel absolutely terrible for Bo Nix and what happened there. And I'll talk about Bo Nix and that Denver team after I'm done talking about the Bills, because I have nothing but respect for them and the job that they did, and I thought they played a great game. But we just didn't handle business, and I can't blame anybody else, and I can't blame the officiating, although you could make an argument. I'm not going to, and really what it boils down to is controlling what you can control. Right? What's in your hands, managing that. And we didn't at the end of the day, right? I am a Josh Allen super fan. I mean, I absolutely love and appreciate the guy and what he's done for our fan base and how he's represented us and his character and his leadership and his play on the football field. He is undoubtedly a phenomenal football player. Like, whether or not you're a fan of Josh Allen's, you watch him play and you can't deny that he is a great quarterback. He really is. And most of the time in the playoffs, he hasn't been the reason to blame for losses, or at least the primary reason to blame for losses. A lot of the times when you go back in those playoff losses, it is coaching, it is defense, occasionally special teams that have sold us short. But this time around, against the Broncos, that game falls on Josh Allen. It does. And it pains me to say, because we wouldn't be in this position in overtime against the Broncos in a divisional playoff game against the number 1 seed if we didn't have Josh Allen. But even he knows that those 4 turnovers cost us this game. Not even probably. They definitely did. And he also knows if he played clean football, his best game of the season, we would have walked over the Denver Broncos. And the worst part is that it wasn't forgivable mistakes. Like the fumble at the end of the half, which resulted in 3 points for the Broncos, decided the game. The fumble coming out of half decided the game. The interception to Brandon Cooks, an underthrown ball, decided the game. Targeting, I believe, Curtis Samuel down the field. Hufanga not biting on that play action. That lost us the game. It was the turnovers. And it started with James Cook. The James Cook fumble was the beginning of a domino effect of terrible turnovers. And that ultimately just gave it to Denver. I mean, that's just what it is. It's still remarkable to me that Josh Allen was able to put up 30 points with this offense, considering the amount of turnovers that he gave up. And watching his post-game speech to the media, it's heartbreaking. It is crushing. And unless you are a Patriots fan or like a Jets or Dolphins fan, I guess, I feel like the majority of people want to see this guy at least win one. Now, I don't think Josh is never going to win a Super Bowl. Drew Brees has only got one. Raj only has one. There are Hall of Fame top 10 QBs of all time that only have a Super Bowl. Some even none, right? My concern is not the fact that Josh didn't make the Super Bowl this year. It's just the same story, which bothers me, right? It's another year where I felt like we could have absolutely run the table and gone all the way, and we didn't. And the ironic part about this year is that the guy that I had the most confidence in, who has absolutely been an elite playoff performer throughout his career, just came up short a few too many times today. And the funny part about it is we could have actually tolerated 1, maybe 2, even 3 bad decisions. But it was like the 4th turnover that gave it to Denver. You know what I mean? Like, we could have overcome that poor halftime fumble, right? We could have overcome the strip fumble opening up the half, right? We could have overcome the interception, but it's like 4 turnovers from our quarterback. It's just not going to happen, right? But I'll always have Josh's back. As a Bills fan, I appreciate him and what he's done for this franchise, and I cannot wait to see the day that he finally puts these haters away, gets this monkey off his back, and gets to a Super Bowl and gets what he deserves. But for now, I can't sit here and defend the performance. Yeah, he had 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. He made some phenomenal plays. And there are other pieces on this offense that need to step up, that need to be changed moving forward. Absolutely. I'll talk about those right away. But this is a game that falls on the shoulders of your QB, right? You put up 30 points. When you look at the final score, hey, maybe that's not too bad. But had Josh Allen played a clean game, had Josh Allen played up to his standard, we would have put up 50 points today. Right? And that's what hurts. But I back this guy. I will support him, and I'll always be his big fan. Josh Allen's always my guy, right? So, yeah, I mean, those are my thoughts on Allen's performance. But I do think at the end of the day, he gave us opportunities at the end, too, to close this thing out, right? Like, we carved ourselves back, down 13. We go up 27-23. He gave us opportunities to win this game, right? To close things out. And unfortunately, I just don't think we had the team. Like that's what it boils down to, right? Like I think our weaknesses just they showed in the biggest moments today, and it hurt, right? I think, I mean, I'm just trying to backtrack through my memory right now on the most important plays of the day. The first play, obviously, was the James Cook fumble. That really set off a bad chain of turnovers for this team. And then after that, it's playing catch up. And I think our defense played well, all things considered, with the injuries. We have an injury in the secondary to close out the second half. Savage comes in, gets absolutely toasted on a post corner, or either he was stemming him to the to the post, broke to the corner, whatever it was. And then the Josh Allen fumble, right? And then you look at that overtime drive and the multiple pass interferences and the 53 yards of penalty on that drive, and just brutal, man. Just brutal. I don't know where we go with Sean McDermott now, because I don't think he coached a bad game. I think the defense has honestly been surprisingly excellent in these last two playoff games. Considering the injuries he had to deal with, considering the constant changing of personnel, Shaq Thompson playing both games full-time, no Bernard, Tre'Davious White coming in and out today, no Maxwell Hairston, Jordan Poyer missing today. You know, Ed Oliver comes back. He misses pretty much the entire second half, whatever it was. I thought McDermott was fine. I thought Joe Brady was fine. Joe Brady probably could have been better, and I'll talk about that right away. But, like, I feel like a lot of Bills fans are going to jump down McDermott's throat now and say, fire McDermott, another year, same result. But how on earth do we blame this on Sean? Coaches can only do so much. And at the end of the day, I thought the defense did well, considering they were trapped in some bad positions with all our turnovers. Considering they gave us a stop in overtime, it's like, what else do you want? Right? Sean McDermott hasn't been the best in the playoffs against the Chiefs. He has pissed me right off. But today, I mean, I'm not looking at this game, and the number one guy I have to blame is McDermott. He's way down the list. Way down this list. I mean, he did what he could. He did what he could. Joe Brady, again, I'm indecisive. I don't know exactly how I feel about him as an OC. He's definitely good enough to call plays in the NFL, for sure. Like, let me start with that. He is definitely a good play caller in the NFL, but it's all about, like, when do you hit your peak? What's your max out level? The other thing, too, is, like, what was he working with today, right? Like, you have to take all these things into consideration. The worst part about our coaching staff in Buffalo is that we got conservative against the Broncos. And we weren't out there to finish the job. We were out there to not lose the game. We didn't want to drive the ball down the field when we were up 24-23. We had an opportunity to score a TD, plus a 2-point conversion puts the game out of reach. But instead, we settle for a field goal. And we're throwing screen passes on 3rd and long when we don't have the personnel out there, receiver-wise, to be throwing blocks. Now again, Josh Allen missed that throw. I completely understand. But there were also points where it's like, hey, let's just put the dagger in, right? Let's just get the job done. But then again, you look at a play like the hook and lateral that pretty much set us up to put the game into overtime. Right? I feel like the coaching staff did their job today. This game, it falls on Josh. Let's call a spade a spade. It is what it is. This is a Josh Allen game. This is a turnover-driven game. In the playoffs, regardless of the team, you can't turn over the ball 4 times as the QB. But especially in our position, understanding how crucial it is to have that ball security element, you got to know better. You got to be smarter, right? And I haven't seen the drive-by-drive numbers, but I wouldn't be surprised if, all our drives where we didn't turn over the ball, we were scoring, right? The Bills should have beat the Broncos by at least 10 points today. That was the way our offense was trending. We ran the ball all over them. James Cook had 120 yards on the ground. Josh Allen had 66 rushing yards. He also threw for nearly 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. We were having our way with this defense. One of the elite defenses in the league. Kincaid, monster day. Shakir, phenomenal day. Even Brandon Cooks made some great plays. And you know what? You know what bothers me? And now things are starting to ramp up because I'm recalling more and more from the game. What bothers me about Bills fans is we're complaining about the Brandon Cooks interception. Maybe it's valid, it should have been a catch. But the truth of the matter, but the reality is, we should have won the game long before that play even happened. It is on us. We need to look in the mirror and say this game is not decided by that one call. It's decided when we turn over the ball a million frickin' times. It's decided when we can't defend. It is decided when we are throwing interceptions. It is decided when we are missing the dagger to Kincaid to close out the game. It is decided when we are taking unnecessary PI calls. It is decided, and I keep going. It is decided when we decide to run a play with 16 seconds left in the half for absolutely no reason from our own goal line. It is decided when Josh Allen, from our own goal line, scrambles 20 yards with the ball out here in his hand like he's a basketball player and fumbles the ball. That's when it is decided. It has nothing to do with this call. Brandon Cooks went up, made a play, came down with the ball, ended up being intercepted. Whoop-de-doo. Whoop-de-fucking-doo. Whatever. Whether or not it was supposed to be a catch, this was a loss on the entire team. This was a loss that we could have avoided if we just handled our business. Another year gone to waste for us. We are wasting the prime years of Allen's career. This game, in my opinion, falls on his shoulders. James Cook, not so much, although he did have a costly fumble on a drive where we could have gone up 14-3, and we didn't. I do want to shout out our defense. I feel like McDermott's defense was great. I really do. Cole Bishop is a complete stud. He's made plays for us all year long. He is a phenomenal player in our secondary and has stood up strong. Cam Lewis came in today at the safety position, played very, very well. I was very proud of him stepping up, battling through some injuries there. When he came out of the game, Darnell Savage, who needs a map right to Cancun because he didn't know where he was on the field, gave up a huge touchdown to little Jordan Humphrey. And that was the beginning of the end. Shaq Thompson stepped up in the playoffs. Tre'Davious White played some really phenomenal playoff football. Deion Walker had a pick today. Joey Bosa, Christian Benford had a really nice PBU. Matt Milano made some phenomenal tackles today. Greg Russo, Epinesa coming off the edge. Our defense, they gave us a game. They gave us an opportunity to win, man. So, listen, moving forward, Brandon Beane better get his shit together and say, for years now, we have not made it to the Super Bowl. When we should have at least once. Burrow's been to the Super Bowl. Why hasn't Josh Allen been to the Super Bowl? In my opinion, it's not a lack of talent, okay? And in most cases, it's not, I just bit my tongue. It's not necessarily on Josh Allen. Today it was, right? But if I'm Brandon Beane, I'm saying, okay, our objective right now is to make a freaking Super Bowl. Because this is pathetic. Why have we become known as the luxury version of Mike Tomlin in the playoffs? Why have the Bills become the GOATs of being a divisional or AFC conference championship knockout team? I just don't understand. Why are the Buffalo Bills the Tom Brady of being knocked out before the Super Bowl? Geez, man. I was just, devastated. Devastated. We need more weapons offensively. We need receivers. We need a little bit more. I don't even know, man. Like I said, I'm directionless. I don't know what we need anymore. Because in my opinion, I feel like the team was actually there. We were kind of there this year. But at the same time, when you play like that, when you turn over the ball that often, you're just not going to win these games. And unfortunately, after watching the Bills all year and watching so intensely through the playoffs, I feel like I need a freaking therapist. I don't know. But anyways, as for the Broncos this evening, good for Denver. They were the better first half team, although I feel like we had their number in the second half. They made plays when they needed to. Listen, Bo Nix has scored himself a monster deal for the Broncos in the future. He is an absolute baller. And I have the utmost respect for this guy. 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, 87 passer rating. He played a close to flawless game against a really good Bills secondary. In the clutch moments, Bo Nix was there. And it is absolutely devastating that he is missing the rest of this playoffs run. Because the Denver Broncos are a team led by Bo Nix with no Pat Bryant, who went out with an injury. With no Troy Franklin, who I believe went out with an injury too, if I got that correct. He balled out. Bo Nix in the clutch, when they asked him to be the best quarterback in the game, was. Bo Nix, when they needed a touchdown drive to go down the field, delivered in the red zone, in the clutch, drops it in the basket. Marvin Mims fade route, sideline, on the money, 100% accuracy. Bo Nix, with his mobility and his arm talent, his leadership qualities in Sean Payton's offense, the way he's grown, yes, of course, he's a franchise QB. You do not win back-to-back 10-plus winning seasons if you don't have 10 wins in your rookie year and then 14 in your second season and still be questioned after winning a playoff game against a veteran Buffalo Bills team that has been there for like 7 years now. Bo Nix was lights out. Like, he really was. And he deserves an opportunity to go at it next week against either the Pats or the Texans. Both have really good defenses. But Bo Nix was very impressive. When they called his number on third and shorts, third and mediums, and he picked up the gains with his legs, this guy did it all. And at the end of the day, put aside Josh Allen, put aside Bo Nix, Denver won that overtime because of their play calling. Because they were aggressive and they didn't sit back and try to do anything too cute. They didn't sit back and let the play come to them. No. They said, we're finishing the job. We're going to take the shot down the field. They get PI. They get another one. They move it down to the 10-yard line. They kick a field goal. Game over. Conservative play calling and conservative coaching, it never wins in the NFL. You got to have balls of steel. Whether or not you win the game, you got to go out heavy hitting, fighting like a champ with everything you got. And I thought today, as good as that fourth quarter comeback was from the Bills, we played the game not to lose. And that's just what it is. And James Cook was very hesitant running the ball later in the game, worried about making mistakes. I thought our play calling was also a reflection of that exact same thing. And when you tie in the Josh Allen turnovers, it's hard to overcome that. I also want to credit Sean Payton. I thought he was great. I don't know how they do next week. Pardon me. I don't know how they do next week with Stidham, because that's tough. Having a backup QB come in the AFC Conference Championship, the biggest game of the year up to that point. I said Sean Payton would be the difference maker for the Broncos this year. I said Sean Payton would be the X factor for this Broncos team in the playoffs, and he absolutely was. And he picked our defense apart. And he was extremely smart on the opening drive, and it set the tone. And all game long, it felt like he was just a tiny step ahead of all of us. And he found his matchups, and he called the right plays, and he set up his one-on-ones When we had guys in and out of the lineup due to injury, he picked on exactly what he wanted, and the execution was perfect. You can't blame or credit a coach for a phenomenal throw or a great catch, but you can give credit to them for putting their players in a position to succeed. And what Sean Payton did today was he called a masterful game. And he gave Bo Nix all the tools and all the opportunities to go out there and put the ball exactly where it needed to be. And guess what he did? Exactly that. Sean Payton today, you saw the Super Bowl in him. Today we saw Sean Payton, the Super Bowl head coach. We saw the experience. We saw it all. And I thought he did a great job, man. I did. The one thing about Denver that I was kind of shocked about today was how bad they were against our run game. And honestly, I feel like when we weren't turning the ball over, we dominated them. Offensively. We drove the football. We had long, extended drives. We were picking up yardage. I thought early on, especially, we did really well limiting our second and third and longs. We had great success in the run game early. We were getting like 6, 7, 8 yards per carry early on. We were stringing together like 3 to 4 10-plus yard plays in a row. And I just felt like that kind of fizzled out by the end of the game. So, listen, like, credit to the Denver Broncos. This was a really good game on their part. And they forced turnovers, and they capitalized. And that's what you do in the playoffs. That's what you do. You win off turnovers, you steal possessions, and the Broncos did exactly that. And they protected Bo Nix, and they took fewer penalties when it mattered. Just going through the box score here. And yeah, like, the Bills dominated time of possession, but the Broncos were just ultimately more efficient. And they scored off turnovers. And yeah, that's just what it is. So that's my wrap. I'll give a full season debrief on the Buffalo Bills, on every team actually after the Super Bowl, but just crushed. Crushed is what it is. You know, directionless now. I don't know where to go. Don't know who to cheer for. Just excited to watch the games tomorrow. Let's talk Seahawks 49. Seahawks 49ers. Seahawks 41, Niners 6. Just belt to ass in Seattle. Seattle looks like the best team in the NFL. Seattle looks like they're going to win the Super Bowl. There is no better team in the NFL right now than the Seahawks. I said it from the beginning. Kenneth Walker would be the X factor for this team. And what did he do tonight? 19 carries, 120 yards, 3 touchdowns, averaging 6.1 yards per carry. Seattle's formula to winning in the playoffs is limiting Sam Darnold's production, is limiting Sam Darnold's pass attempts, giving him opportunities to flash, but leaning on the run game, and your incredible defense. Sam Darnold threw 17 passes tonight, 120 yards and a touchdown, had an 110 passer rating. All Darnold has to do is limit the mistakes, is play turnover-free football, hand the ball off to Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet, and they'll get the job done. And lean on your defense, a unit that has looked absolutely spectacular as of late. And when you need a play to be made, you can turn to JSN. You can turn to Cooper Kupp. You can turn to Rashid Shaheed. Rashid Shaheed is going to go down as one of the greatest NFL trade deadline moves in history. The impact he's made already in Seattle is incredible. Not just as a receiver, not only as a deep threat, but how clutch are the special teams units now for Seattle after getting Shaheed. He's made at least 2 to 3 game-breaking plays returning the football for touchdowns. Opens up the game tonight with an absolute bang. Sets the tone. Rashid Shaheed, 94 yards to the crib. After that, the rest was history. You're not stopping that. Shaheed paid dividends the second he got to Seattle. The guy is a monster. And he completely transforms this entire Seattle team. Not just the offense, but the special teams units, like I said. They're just brand new. The speed, the explosiveness, it's next level. And watching Seattle tonight, what really struck me about this offense that, maybe I took for granted watching them during the season. Maybe I just didn't realize because it's a name I've heard for years now watching the NFL. But Cooper Kupp, who led them in receiving tonight, 5 receptions, 60 yards on 5 targets. He's also great. Having Cooper Kupp as a third option, a guy that's been in a Super Bowl, scored touchdowns in a Super Bowl, a guy that's been a Triple Crown receiver, with that experience that's won a Super Bowl, as your third option behind JSN and Shaheed, that's pretty elite. For a quarterback like Sam Darnold, who has occasionally struggled in the big moments, that's elite. That is exactly what you want, a supporting cast that can give him everything and more, especially in moments where, maybe he's had a turnover or two during the night. So, from top to bottom, Seattle is just stellar. I don't see anyone stopping Seattle. I don't care if it's the Rams or the Bears. I'm selling out on Seattle. They looked phenomenal. Like I said in the Divisional Round preview with my guy Steve, if Seattle wins this game in any fashion, and now in blowout fashion, that is just the confidence that they needed. That is literally the only thing I thought Seattle needed, was this confidence to move forward and say, hey, yeah, we're good. We won a playoff game. We got it under our belt. We're playing at home next week. I don't care who comes to us. They got to face our crowd, the 12th man. They got to face our stellar defense. They got to face Canine Charbonnet. Yeah, they're very, very good. They're kind of built like the Eagles from last year. Phenomenal defense, excellent weapons, great run game, and a quarterback that, as long as he doesn't make any mistakes, throw any picks, is probably going to come out as the winner. And they absolutely smacked around the San Francisco 49ers. It wasn't even close. You could tell from the first snap tonight that Seattle just had an edge. They just had this edge, and it was yeah, this game's over. The second that Shaheed return happened, it was you know what? It's probably done here. I feel bad for the Niners, I do. I don't think the Niners should be disappointed. I don't think Niners fans should be disappointed with their team. This was a phenomenal A+ year for the San Francisco 49ers. Absolutely nobody in the media expected the Niners to make the playoffs, never mind win a playoff game. With the injuries that they've had all year long, nobody's played a full season on that roster. And they have a handful of all-pro guys on IR, and they still won a playoff game. If anything, there is so much silver lining to this season for the Niners. In the back of their heads, they're saying, with a healthy roster, how good could we really be? How far can we really push it? With this coaching staff, Shanahan, Saleh, getting a guy like Warner, Bosa, Kittle back in the lineup, using another year in the draft, Michael Williams coming back to us. How excellent could this roster really be? We can definitely push for a Super Bowl. Our division is terribly difficult right now, but we are right there. We have our franchise QB. Christian McCaffrey is an absolute animal. Our defense, when it's healthy, is really, really strong. Our secondary has improved year after year. We have the pieces here. That's what I'm thinking if I'm a San Francisco fan after this loss. Yeah, you're going home. Yes, it's always difficult to deal with a loss, especially when you get spanked by a divisional team like that. Not easy. Not easy, believe me. But you know what? At the same time, I'm pretty happy if I'm San Francisco. Not that we lost, but when you look at the season and you look at the future, you probably got a good feeling that you got a Super Bowl in the near future with this roster. Brock Purdy is definitely the franchise QB. You'll look at this game and say 6 points from that offense, well, that falls on the QB. Sure, he's being paid $53 million a year. You obviously want more output. You obviously want more production from your offense, from your QB. He was 15 to 27, 140 yards, an interception, 54 passer rating. Brock Purdy didn't play this lights-out magnificent game, but he was also running for his life. I thought Brock's play tonight was solid. I think if he played his absolute best game, maybe the Niners cut it to like a 20-point deficit, like a 25-point deficit maybe. Sure, you can blame Brock for this game, but even if he plays lights out, they're not coming close. I think the best thing I saw from Brock Purdy tonight was his playmaking ability. He once again showed the evasion of pressure, escaping the pocket, making things happen on the move. Unfortunately, the Seattle defense is just absolutely unreal. And when you face a pass rush like that, your protection will be blown up. And having Trent Williams is not going to do shit for you when you got 4 or 5 guys rushing the passer. And when you don't have a number one receiver. And when you don't have George Kittle in the lineup. Maybe I expected a little bit more from this offense, production-wise. 6 points is pretty embarrassing. And yeah, sure, that can fall on the shoulders of Purdy. Like, we're going to blame other quarterbacks for it, sure. But the reality is, like, with a good team, which majority, if not every quarterback in the league needs a solid roster to push into the playoffs, pass teams into the Super Bowl, Brock Purdy can win. And he has shown that. And he gave us a playoff win this year against the Eagles. So, like, anyone doubting that is wrong. They're objectively wrong. You just haven't looked at the numbers. You haven't looked at the stats. You haven't looked at the performances. And the film doesn't lie. So, like, yeah, sure, it's a disappointing night. You never want to get beat down by a divisional team 41-6 on the road. Like, it sucks for sure. But when you compare expectations and what actually happened, the reality of things, I think the Niners impressed this year. I think they come away from this game and they're like, well, look, we probably didn't have a shot in the long run. Like, we were going to lose somewhere along the line. We have to win 3 more games, if you include tonight, to win the Super Bowl. Like, that's a big ask. And the playoffs, they're just a different beast. And on the road, too, like, you also got to imagine that Brock Purdy, who just played the Seahawks team in Week 18, who had a shit ton of pressure in his face, was worried going into the game. You know, like, there's that thought in the back of your mind of like, all right, I got to get this ball off really quick. I am not going to have time in the pocket. He was just swallowed tonight. So he made some plays, and I was like, all right, that's good enough for me. Walk off the field, Brock. Head high. Look at next year. You got a lot going for you, bud. with Shanahan too. But yeah, Seattle moves on. That's intriguing. I think they're the best team remaining in the playoffs. I think if they don't win the Super Bowl, it's on them. But yeah, that's a wrap on Saturday divisional round recap. Thank you guys for rocking with me. It is awesome that I have this fan base here on YouTube, over on Instagram and TikTok, and people who actually want to listen to me, which is super cool. So thank you so much for rocking with me all year. Sitting through the Bills loss, I really appreciate it. From all of you guys, from me, thank you so much. It's been a wonderful evening, and we will talk soon. Enjoy tomorrow's games. I'll give you a recap tomorrow. Peace out, y'all.